You're watching West Hartford Community Television.
You're watching West Hartford Community Television.
For the community, by the community.
您好，我是 Peipei Champion. Welcome back to Champion Chinese. We are going to continue our conversation with Miss Donna Gordon and about her experience in Chinese, and I guess we will discuss why I start the teaching and what is the importance of for all people to be able to have the tool to get into the world of our ancient ancestor. Why it is important. I get probably classic Hebrew and classic Chinese will be the only existing and surviving ancient written tool to guide us to have connection with our ancestors and their wisdom. Okay.
Peipei, I just, thank you again for having me today.
Sure.
I wanted to just continue our discussion before. One thing I picked up from the class that I recently took with you was that you have this passion. You have a singular passion for what you do, mm-hmm. and that comes through in everything that you do. So can you tell your viewers a little bit more about what was the impetus, what drove you to create this? Is this something from your childhood? Is it something, what event precipitated this?
My daughter's birth. I think recently I've just read a letter written by Mr. and Mrs. Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, and I was moved to tears. And that reminded me long time ago when I had my daughter when she was born. And I say to myself, I said to her, looking at her, I want her to be able to understand how precious her part of Chinese heritage is. And then that started me teaching. And I didn't know that my language actually has been in danger for so long, okay? And I didn't know everybody in the world is so sad. I didn't know they want to abandon it. And the reason is, according to the Chinese government, before, old Chinese government, is because it is too difficult to learn and teach.
Now, are you talking about the Taiwanese government, or are you talking about the mainland?
The mainland.
Okay.
The People's Republic of China.
I see.
Okay, and Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau, and all the world's elite Chinese people, Japanese elite, Korean, Southeast Asia, they are all using the traditional script. Mm-hmm. When I say elite and traditional family, but follows the huge wave of the mainland Chinese immigrants. Simplification and Romanized pinyin has become the trend, okay? Mm-hmm. And I didn't know because I was born and raised in Taiwan, and I have no objection learning it, And one of the reason I think years ago, I have some health issues, and it's very difficult to deal with. And then I will talk about that later on in my later sections, but my Chinese heritage saved me.
I see.
Okay, and then I went to doctors. Nobody can understand what's wrong with me, but I'm not well. I was not well. And then I went to internet. I studied the Chinese medicine, traditional medicine. And I have the best doctors, Western doctors. They help me also, like the operation wise, but to take care of my daily issues instead of putting myself back to the old environment that I will get sick again. I rely on the Chinese medicine and the Chinese way. Because we basically, you study Chinese medicine, we treat our body as a whole, okay? You have a hand problem, you don't just chop off your hand, okay? That might, like my rashes might come from my spleen, my stomach, and doesn't function well. And actually it might cause because my anger, my depression, because I was so sad that people want to abandon it, and people do not want to learn the good tool to learn the language so that the language can be learned easily. So basically, how can you learn English without learning English letters?
Right.
Okay? So Chinese characters are composed by the bopoma symbol, the parts. So how can you not learn the parts? Even simplification are composed by those parts, okay? I introduce you, if you know the symbols, you can learn so well, very fast, both traditional character and simplify, right? So that probably might cause my anxiety and upset, sadness of when you are sad, your liver has some problem, your gallbladder, and that will affect directly to your stomach and your spleen. And then when your spleen doesn't work well, all the poison, the inflammation, the water retention, they have to come out, okay? And that might come out from your head. And I didn't know that before, okay? So if you just see, you put heavy, what is that, cholesterol, not cholesterol, cortisone. So you suppress your immune system. Right now, any cortisone is not working with me anymore because I have using the strongest everything, okay? It will not suppress me. So I have to come back to my root. And that actually saved me. And then it's the, I think it's my cause because the love of my daughter, just like Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerberg, and it's because their love for their daughter, and they want the child's life and all the peers of their beloved daughter have a peaceful, healthy life. And they decided, they have a big plan to help. I actually, when I read that, I was moved to tears. I was so happy for them. And at the same time, I was scared. Do you know why?
No. Why were you scared?
Because they are so powerful. They are so powerful. If their money or their intention was lured to the wrong direction. Because right now, all the educational system and all the official government has bias. They think whatever China government is promoted is the way to go. But they ignore the historical background of this language. And I have no political background or bias at all, Okay, I don't belong to any party, either Chinese party or American party. I just have all the love and passion for children. I feel children and dogs are the best gift God give us, human being. And then I have tremendous passion for my culture because I know it is so important. In my personal experience, I almost feel God let me experience all those challenges and difficulties because to raise my awareness how important people need to have the connection to the ancient wisdom, not only Chinese, Egypt, Egyptian, Hebrew, or any old ancient history and culture. Okay, pyramids were built everywhere, the whole world. Why? If only there were written scripts that explain to us and we also understand. But no, I guess probably classic Hebrew and Chinese are the only written scripts help us to connect with the ancient classical wisdom, probably.
Well, there is also ancient Greek, which is in, and ancient Roman, which would be Latin, which many things are written in as well.
But we have dated, right now we are talking about dated back to 2,000, 3,000, 5,000
Exactly.
years. That would be the only two, probably.
Well,
right?
no, because there's ancient Greek, which people are still studying, and they have to study in order to study the New Testament scriptures. They would have to learn ancient Greek for that, because those were not written in Hebrew; those were written in Greek.
But if only people can learn them very fast, isn't it?
There are many different ways to learn, Hebrew faster, and it depends on the creativity of the teacher. And as we saw it from you, you created this very quickly. To make it fun, not only quick but fun. So, what was your? Why did you feel that the traditional Chinese characters needed to be learned in a more rapid fashion,
because
rather than what everybody else is doing with the slower assimilation of the material?
Because the whole world right now is trying to abandon the traditional script. Because the reason they will say, two reasons. First, China. The China government is not promoting it. 25% of the world's Chinese people do not even want it. Chinese
you mean
people
the traditional script.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And the reason is because it's just too difficult to learn. Okay? So this movement started back to 1956. And then I actually have work with the original promoter in America, late Dr. Zhang Zu. He has served 4 United States president. He was the chairperson for White House President's Advisory Committee. And he was the original person, and Dr. John DeFrancis. They both are the original person promote simplification. Teaching and pinyin here. Mm-hmm. However, after I contact him, we work together, and he changed his mind. And he understand to bring back, to sustain the ancient Chinese civilization, we need to bring back the traditional script. And then when I introduced him, the Bopama system can be taught so fast, he was so pleased. And then he gave me so many names in the political field, educational field, and do you know what? Nobody want to touch it. They always think China is too big. And I say, but this is not Taiwan or China. This is not political issue. Okay, but nobody want to touch. And he actually told me, the day he called me before he went to White House to resign. He called me from San Francisco. He said, Peipei, don't give up, okay? I'm going to resign. I'm going to White House. When I return, I will take you to see the president. Okay, and I think I know probably only president, any president, American president, English minister, prime minister, president of China or Taiwan or India, only the president or philanthropist, like Mr. Bill Gates Foundation and
Sure.
you know and the Facebook Zuckerberg, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerberg. People like that, they have so much power and passion and love for human being, and then also they don't have to kowtow to any political party. Probably that's the only hope. Okay, because right now we do not have nice software to help teacher to make the teaching easy. Okay, software, we don't.
Of your particular brand, or are you saying of Chinese?
Traditional script
Traditional
and
script
Pokemon.
in,
Yeah, okay, it's not, the old software is not applicable to Apple or this and that. A lot of issues, and I have the plan to do this, but I was stuck in Connecticut. That's why I have to move, okay? Because I've been here 20 years, and the government will not move. They don't want to listen, they don't want to change, and people are suffering, still learning the simplification. Like some teacher even say, oh, I will try to introduce 2 simplified character each class. And you remember, right? Our class, we can remember 20 to 30 characters an hour, okay? And traditional and simplified together.
Right.
So this is why I have to make it fast, okay? I show the world we have the tool to read independently the old script. When I say old, it's actually not old because it has been existing for thousands of years. I know, okay? But probably I will be the last generation who knows it. But if we can have the tool to go into the real traditional script, and at the same time, we are able to know the simplification and using romanization to communicate with people from China. That would be great. Only faster. We know all of them, only faster.
Now, do you, because there's a difference between classical Hebrew and modern Hebrew. Modern Hebrew is the language that Israelis speak every day. And so even since that was reborn out of the classical Hebrew, you know, they've had to make it more urban friendly.
Okay.
So that people are able to use it and talk quicker. So of course some things were changed in the sentence structure, and the syntax, etc. But there's definitely a difference between the modern Hebrew and the biblical Hebrew because the biblical Hebrew does not change.
Yeah.
That stays the same because that is the language of our ancestors. That's the language of that's our holy language. And so the modern Hebrew changes rapidly. Like things you said 5 years ago, you would never say again because it's out of fashion.
Like
Just
English too,
evolves.
right?
Exactly. So is your fear that the traditional characters are going to go the way of, say, ancient Hebrew and only be used for the ancient scriptures, such as the Tao Te Ching and the I Ching, etc., and not be used for every day?
Actually,
It's going to be, you're going to lose it as an everyday vernacular language that you use.
Okay,
correct?
so the oral language you learn from me is the Mandarin, okay? So I think since 1908, before 1908, we were even talking. We are still using the text of ancient, classic, written. So when
Right,
you
you
read,
use that same
yeah,
style
when
of
you
speech.
read Dao De Jing, 5 word, and to translate into modern Chinese, probably 20 sentences, and in English will be 40 sentences. Okay, it's very, very ambiguous if you don't read the real. But since 1956, 1908, we speak and write what we speak. Okay, so but when you read the traditional script, you can do both. You can do both.
I see.
But simplification was created during 1956. The language reform promoted by Communist Chinese government, and then the reason is they want to simplify it until it's so illogical, so that they can Romanize it. Okay.
Okay.
So in a way, and at that time, and also they simplified it to meet the need of masses. But during that time, probably 98% of Chinese population are illiterate, are peasant. So when you simplified it, use their language as standard, imagine, it's very scary. It's like if we, America, we have representative or president go to England and say, "What's up, Queen?" Or long time no see, that is even worse, Queen, or the princess, and they will be shocked, right? So that's again, it's not a put down of the modern simplified Chinese right now, but that's the historical fact we have to consider. So that's why make it fast, happy, for all the kids happy. The political leaders, when they want to go to anybody or business people, they want to go to China. They can learn very fast. They have no time to waste. They have no 2 years. They have 10 to 20 hours. Like you, 10 hours. You have the basic tools, okay? And then you can read both. And then all the material I gave you, basically you can read it based on the bapama you have, okay? And then to drill all the conversation, it's all in the song.
Right. Exactly. I think that what interests me about and what really came to me as I was learning, and I think I mentioned this to you during one of the classes, as I felt that I got the pronunciation right, I felt the energy in the language, and I told you, I said, "Wow, this language has
Power.
has chi." I can, because I am an energy worker, so I can feel energy from all kinds of different things. But I could feel it in the language. I could feel it in the flow. It was like when you're
that's
when
beautiful.
you're in the zone for Tai Chi or Qigong. And then I tried that with Hebrew when I was teaching Hebrew, and what I felt from that language was a heartbeat. So there really is something there, a real basic primal energy that flows through our communications, because our communications are nothing but vibrations anyways. But those vibrations have meaning. And so what I liked about the Chinese was that when you have those tones, it is such a tonal language.
Yes.
When you have them right, it has such a great flow to it.
Yes, isn't it?
Which is quite interesting. And music is communication, a form of communication as well. And to have music and language together, it's powerful.
One thing,
It's very powerful, and I found that this was very powerful for me to learn that much at once.
but
so much energy in it.
One thing, do you feel the difference about the energy when I'm talking about like the sage, like the justice?
What do you mean by
like
the
the sage, remember when I introduced the sage, you have listening ear, you have mouth, but you are, so that you can be a leader, but you also need to have the wisdom and vision to connect heaven and earth and all the living things.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel special energy when you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. What I like about Chinese and what I like about Hebrew is that the pictures in the language are very telling and very communicative. And it's similar to the ancient hieroglyphics in the Egyptian tombs, in the pyramids. Just so very telling about what their everyday life was like.
Yeah.
So it just brings the whole history of mankind to life.
I really didn't know my language is that beautiful. And I think when you have the tremendous love for someone, or like humanity, that when you have tremendous love for someone, actually that love can increase your vibration to the universe, to the world, And I hope that everybody will have that good intention, and that these languages survive. And here I'm just a tiny little Chinese woman trying to provide this tool. But this is the very, very powerful tool.
You may think you're only a small, tiny Chinese woman, but Peipei, you have one of the biggest hearts that I've ever known in someone. So you have great love for what you do, and that comes through in everything you do and everything you teach.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much. And this is a great. Let me give you a hug. And I hope that we will have you back when we study more.
Oh, anytime.
And
I'd
we
enjoy
will
it.
have you back. And thank you to all my audience. And I hope you will join me in this course to promote the Chinese language learning. Make the learning very happy, very effective for the whole world, and so that we can save this 5,000 years beautiful civilization. Thank you very much. 谢谢，and 再见。